Welcome to Notebook 11, NVIDIA NIM for Prompt Engineering. In this notebook, by the time you complete it, you're going to know how to utilize NVIDIA Inference Microservices to conduct prompt engineering, and we'll touch again very briefly some of the benefits of running a locally hosted LLM as opposed to an external API hosted LLM. The main takeaway for this notebook is after you complete this course, I want you to have some hands-on experience and a little more of a concrete understanding about the three-step workflow we discussed in the introductory slide deck. And we're going to do that by kind of walking through where you would need to go and the steps you would need to take to accomplish that yourself. We discussed NVIDIA Inference Microservices at length in the introductory notebook, or slide presentation rather. I don't think we'll talk too much more about them, but if you recall, we had a three-step process. The first being to view a given model at build.nvidia.com and play around with it a little bit. The second, to begin to explore or prototype or proof of concept application code with that model using an API key that points to build.nvidia.com. And then third is to actually download the model yourself so that you have a locally hosted LLM running in a NIM that you can build your application code against. So with that in mind, we're going to start by visiting build.nvidia.com. There's a link here. You can open it. And you can see when we arrive at the page that there is a lot here. There are all sorts of different kinds of AI models for things like reasoning, aka text, vision models, retrieval models, speech models, biology models. It goes on and on and on. The website has categorizations for solutions by application type. There's also a lot of other really cool resources here, like blueprints for AI agents, and much, much more. It's really, really worth exploring this website, especially if you are looking for assets and resources and guidance and models to support a variety of different kind of workloads in your organization. Because we're going to be working with the Llama 318B model, I think I'm going to begin by searching for that in the catalog. Okay, so I've searched for the Llama 318B instruct model. You can see there's even Llama 2 models here, et cetera, et cetera. We have a lot of different options based on Llama 3, including 3.1 and 3.2, but we're going to look at the 318B instruct model. And you can see we've arrived at Meta's Llama 318B instruct model. This run anywhere means it's going to be available for us to download as well. You can see I can either prompt it myself here, or if I want to use some of these pre-created prompts, I can just click on them. So, I've tried out this particular prompt to write a limerick about the wonders of GPU computing. Again, maybe in a real world situation, I have some specific kinds of prompts I'm looking to try out, etc. I could try all those out here and see if I like what I see. What's neat is not only have I been able to play around with this model, but as I'm kind of thinking about the second step in the process, which is interacting with the model via an API key, which we're going to look at presently, you can see over here on the right-hand side of the page, really handily, I've been given the Python code I would need to actually interact with this model using an API key. By default, we get the Python version, which is using the OpenAI library. We're going to be using that in the next notebook. I can switch over to LangChain, right? So this is what we're going to be using for the majority of the course, right? And again, the sample code is right here. In addition, if you wanted to use something lower level like curl, you can do that here. Or if you're a JavaScript programmer and you want to work with a Node.js library using the OpenAI API, you can do that here as well. What I want to point out here is that if you're interested to get an API key, you can just click on Get API Key here. You might have to register or log in. It's all free. You just generate the key and you'll get the API key. I already have one of these, so I'm not going to generate another one right now. At that point in time, then you have an API key, and just like is shown in these example codes on your own environment, you don't need your own GPU. You would just provide your API key and interact programmatically with the large language model that's being hosted here at build.nvidia.com. Again, there's a token limitation, but it's pretty generous, and you're able to use it to prototype and build proof of concept applications before deciding when and if you actually want to download your own copy of this model for use in your local environment. And that's step 3 that we discussed in the opening slide presentation. In order to do that, you can see here, if I look at the Docker instructions, it's talking about logging into the NVIDIA container registry and using Docker, right, to run this container off of the NVIDIA container registry. Again, I think actually downloading or working with Docker containers is very much out of scope for this particular course. But I wanted to kind of give you an orientation to this third step and just show you that there's clear instructions for how to do that. Additionally, if I were to scroll down here, you can see that there's many more details for getting started with this NIM via the NVIDIA NIM docs. We won't go into those right now, but they're thorough and clear. So those are there to support you as well. And I guess as one last step, this NVIDIA container registry is a place on the web that we call NGC, and it's probably worth checking out NGC. So let's scope that out for a second as well. I'm just going to web search for NVIDIA NGC. You can see the top hit here is the NGC catalog, which I can click on. Now that I'm in the NGC catalog, we'll do a similar search here for Llama 3.1 8B. And you can see here, again, there's a lot of different Meta Llama models, etc. The one that we're curious about presently is the Llama 3.1 8B Instruct model. I'm going to click on that. Now, unlike build.nvidia.com that we were just looking at, where we have an opportunity to interact with this model, right, and explore how it behaves and also get examples for how to use it in code, NGC, where we are right now, is the place we would go to actually download, or in Docker language, pull this container so that we could use it locally. All we would have to do, and again, you might have to log in or something, but you can click on Get Container here, and this would give you the URL. And then you would just Docker pull that image or Docker run and use that image. And just like we saw in the build.nvidia.com website, using those specific instructions, you would then have a running Docker container that hosted the Meta's Llama 3.1 8B Instruct model, which is the model we're using in this particular course. And this is pretty much exactly the setup we use to create the interactive environment. Okay, so hopping back into the interactive notebook, again, we've kind of covered build.nvidia.com, how to get an API key, and then how to move to download the model if and when you're ready. We talk here about step 2, API hosted NIM, and then we discuss again the specifics of the course environment. If you're interested a little bit more in the lower level details about what happens when you pull one of these language NIMs, you can read more about this read more about it in this section here. And then, just to call it out, there's a lot of reasons to use third-party hosted APIs. They don't require you to maintain them. They're often very, very powerful models. But there's also some downsides as well, right? They're difficult to customize. You don't have full control over the environment they run in, which has, security and privacy considerations. Also, you need to pay for those models, and depending on your workload, that can actually be very cost effective, but if it's a different kind of workload, it can also end up costing you a lot more money than running your own local large language models. Furthermore, you, like I said, can get some really powerful models by working with third-party services. However, when working with open source models, you have a lot more variety. If it's important to you, you're supporting open source. So, there's trade-offs, pros and cons, but this is definitely one situation to get you up and running with locally hosted open source models on your own environment really quickly and really easily. Okay. So if you could now, we'll move into from Notebook 11 into Notebook 12, Hello OpenAI. And sort of at long last, we're going to begin actually programmatically interacting with large language models. So I'll see you there.